Hello everyone, it's Emma and welcome back to my channel. Now, if you're like me, you drive a car because we're built on a world that was designed for cars. So when people tell you to avoid big oil, I'm sure we've all had some eco-influencer tell us that, including me. I'm sure I've told you that before. It's not always possible. And I get it, that's why I advocate for it too, reducing how much you drive, because it is a great way to reduce your own personal carbon footprint and a great way to avoid supporting big oil. But what if you don't have public transportation? What if you don't have the capability of walking? What if there's no bike lanes in your city? There are many reasons why people can't give up their cars. So today we're gonna dive into some ways that you can avoid supporting big oil without having to give up your car. Because let's face it, we live in a very wasteful world, especially in the US where public transportation is really lacking. So it's not always possible that we all give up our cars. And that's really because they make us reliant on cars. They make us reliant on oil so that these companies can stay in business. So if you would like to read along and learn more, I do have the blog post in the description. And if you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We talk about all sorts of things that your ways, focusing on free, easy, and fun ways to live low waste and practical ways to be an activist. And if I miss any tips that you think I should cover in a part 2 about how you can avoid supporting big oil, be sure to leave them down below for the rest of us. These are in no particular order, but the first one we're going to be talking about is to use less plastic. Wait, what? How does that mean I'm going to avoid supporting big oil? Well, if you didn't know, plastic is made from oil. I have a full video on the history of plastic, why it was invented, what's it made out of, and so forth. That is linked right here. So by refusing plastic where you can, you're avoiding putting more money in the pockets of big oil CEOs. Just like it's very hard to give up your car in a world that revolves around cars, it's also very hard to give up plastic entirely in a world that revolves around plastic. So just like with reducing your own driving, reduce what plastic you can. For example, instead of buying like a bag of tangerines, a bag of oranges or apples, whatever, buy them loose and package free. Instead of buying a plastic bottle of ketchup, buy a glass bottle of ketchup. Instead of buying peanut butter in plastic, try peanut butter in a glass jar instead. There's endless ways to avoid using plastic, even something as simple as saying no to a straw, bringing your reusable cup to a coffee shop. But try to get stuff that is package free, stuff that is packaged in paper, aluminum, or other types of metal and glass. Though glass is not significantly better than plastic for the environment. You can learn more about that up here. Number 2 is to recycle your plastic. But what I mean is when plastic is recyclable, be sure to recycle it correctly. But even if you buy plastic, recycling it ensures that a little bit ways down the line, CEOs for big oil aren't making money. Big oil's not profiting. And that is because by making sure your plastic is recycled, now that plastic can be turned into something new instead of having to mine and extract oil to create a brand new plastic that now recycled plastic is going to be used to create. That being said, please make sure you're recycling correctly. I'm pretty sure that's my catchphrase at this point. So I encourage you to check out this video right here about the 7 different types of plastic and how they're recycled, which ones are recycled, and of course, as always, check your local recycling facility, the recycling company that picks up recycling at your house, to see what they accept. For example, me in Las Vegas, they only accept plastics number 1 and 2. So thin plastics like bread bags, grocery bags, Ziploc bags, so forth, can't be recycled in my curbside bin. So alternatively, you can eco-brick that plastic to avoid it going into the landfill, or you can recycle it. At some grocery stores, they have like drop-off bins. I know Smith's here in Las Vegas does, and I've also seen them at Walmart and H-E-B. So they're all over the country if you would like to recycle your thin plastics. Number 3 is right in the same lane, and that is to buy recycled plastic when you have to buy plastic. That's because recycled plastic is made from old plastic, not oil. I mean, obviously it's like second generation made from oil, but it's not made from brand new extracted oil. So supporting recycling means that we as consumers are in turn increasing the demand for this recycled product. So if I decide to buy a notebook made out of recycled plastic versus virgin plastic, the company that makes these notebooks is going to see, oh, people are really liking these recycled plastic notebooks. Maybe we should make more of these and less of these. The same goes for anything, for shoes, backpacks, plates. What else is made out of recycled plastic? Even some Coca-Cola bottles are made out of recycled plastic, and I roll my eyes because it's a little bit greenwashy. But that being said, this really just emphasizes the fact that we need to be recycling correctly. We need to make sure our recycling is clean and dry, because this ensures that there's more product for people to use to create recycled product. Again, I hope that makes sense. If you would like to learn more about the importance of recycling, I do have a video for that linked up here. Number 4, this has to do with our cars, but don't worry, I'm not going to tell you to not drive, of course. Maybe I should have put this at the beginning. If you want to give up driving, or give up driving as much as you can, good for you. Like for me, example, I have to drive to work because it's 18 miles one way. I could bike, but that's like an hour and a half. That means 3 hours out of my day, but I do walk to the grocery store, which is only a 10-minute walk. It's very achievable. So do what you can, but if you still have to drive your car, don't idle your car. While we all might be reliant on our cars, it doesn't mean we should be using them willy-nilly. I know people who go out to their cars for lunch and idle their cars for an entire hour. I live so far from my workplace, I can't come home for lunch, and I don't want to go out to eat every day for lunch. And obviously people don't want to eat at their desk, so what else are they supposed to do? But sit in their car. So I get it, why, but at the same time, that is so many emissions being burned. That's a waste of gas being like, you're paying for that gas to just sit there instead of like get you places. But not just that, when you're in the carpool line picking up your kids from school, don't idle your car. When you're in the line for the drive-through, for the car wash, for filling up your gas tank, turn off your car. Even if it is only for 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, that really does add up over the long run. So this not only will save you money, but it will reduce how much money you're spending on big oil. Next one also has to do with your car, and that is to properly maintain your car. The better you take care of your car, the better it runs. I know the best example is to make sure that your tires are properly inflated, because that increases your miles per gallon that you're getting. So the higher your MPGs, the less you have to fill up, the less your money you're giving to big oil. But this goes for anything. Make sure you're doing your tire rotations and oil changes and all the other maintenance to make sure that your car is running smoothly and burning as little oil as possible. Obviously, you still have to burn gasoline to get to and from the places you have to, but again, the higher the MPGs, the less you have to buy. Number 6 is to turn off the lights. If you're wondering, why the heck does that quit giving money to big oil? A lot of electricity is run on oil. I'll do some research. I'll put the percentage right here for you. But even if your house isn't run off of oil, it's probably run off of coal, which is again a big polluting entity that we don't want to be supporting. And like, obviously if your house is run off of solar or wind, you don't have to take this one as heavy. I mean, we need to be conserving energy as much as possible, even if you're using clean energy, but especially if your home is run off of oil, gas, or coal, you should be turning off your lights as much as possible. During the day, I say this all the time, so during the day, I turn off all my lights except for filming, and I just use sunlight to light my house. If you don't know where your energy comes from, you can just probably look at your electric bill. I'm sure it at least has the name of the company that's providing you electricity, and then you can Google the company and see where they get their energy. For example, I was curious a few months ago where we got our energy, which I was already pretty confident it was from like Southern Nevada Energy Corporation or something like that. And then it was really nice. On their website, they actually have where you get your energy from. You could plug in, you're like, oh, I live in North Las Vegas. I live in Henderson. I live in Summerlin. Wherever you live in Las Vegas. And then it'll tell you, oh, this energy grid is run off of 60% oil and 40% solar, or whatever it is. Las Vegas is actually surprisingly run off of a lot of solar, which is really nice. But again, conserve as much energy as you can, and if you would like more ideas on energy conservation, I have a video up here, but I think I'm out of cards, so it will be linked down below, as well as water conservation, because if you didn't know, using water throughout your house takes energy as well, because it has to be heated, cooled, and pumped throughout your house. Which leads us into number 7, and that is to switch your energy provider if you have the means to do so. I say that because sometimes it is more expensive for solar, wind, or other sorts of green energy, as well as it's literally not possible sometimes. My childhood home, we grew up in the middle of the countryside, and we only had one option for an energy provider. So we didn't have the means to switch to a green energy provider. We just had to use the one that was available. But if you have different options available to you, if you have the budget and the ability to add solar panels to your home, I encourage you to do that. Again, if possible. Just a side note, you guys on YouTube are a lot more nice. And like, what I mean is people on TikTok and Instagram are like, you're forcing me to buy solar panels. Like, no, I'm not. This is just a suggestion. Take it or leave it. So thank you guys for being kind. So the sooner you switch to a green energy provider, the less and less money you're giving to big oil. Number 8 is to shop secondhand. Again, why is this reducing my oil consumption? That's because a lot of our everyday products are made from plastic. And again, plastic is made from oil. Here's an example. Dog toys, I find them at the thrift store. Those are made out of plastic. This shirt doesn't have a tag, but I got it secondhand, and I'm willing to bet it's made from plastic, polyester. Trash can, that shelf, that light, that shelf, all these things that I found secondhand. Our camera is made out of plastic, a lot of it. So by shopping secondhand, you're not giving your money to big oil to create that plastic, and obviously you're not giving your money directly to them. If I was buying a new camera, I would be giving my money to Canon, but Canon would be giving their money to big oil to create their products. And this is also a more budget-friendly option than number 9, which I'm gonna go ahead and talk about right now. Number 9 is to buy items made from natural materials. This can be really expensive if you're buying hemp, organic cotton, silk, whatever it may be, wool, etc. Those can get really expensive, especially if they're made organically and ethically. So shopping secondhand, even if it is something made out of plastic, which I buy a lot of things plastic secondhand because it's really cheap, it's a budget option. So shop secondhand if you want to quit supporting big oil. But number 9, if you want to quit supporting big oil and you want to support ethical businesses as well, you can buy naturally made materials, other things like bamboo, paper, sustainably farmed paper. And again, stuff that comes package free, like these paper soaps that I got from Atique. And then number 10 is to buy bioplastics instead of oil-based plastics, even if it's going to end up in the landfill. I know it's a little controversial because you're supposed to compost bioplastics. That's the whole point. I don't really think it's the whole point. I think part of the point of buying bioplastics instead of oil-based plastics is so that we're not supporting big oil. We're not polluting, because creating bioplastics from corn husks and coconut shells and other types of food bits and pieces that we're not going to be eating is not only preventing food waste, preventing methane, but is also a much cleaner process than harvesting oil. Like, even the extraction of oil is so polluting, not just the end of the life of a piece of plastic. You can learn more about bioplastics in my bioplastics versus petroleum-based plastics video. It'll be linked down below. And obviously, if you have the means to compost bioplastic, do that. That is the best option. But even if it's going to end up in the landfill, I personally think that buying bioplastics is better than petroleum-based plastics, especially if you're just looking for a way to avoid supporting big oil. So that's all that I have for you today. 10 ways to avoid supporting big oil, even if you still drive a car. As I mentioned in the middle of the video, give up your car as much as you can. Again, for some people, that's 0. But if you have the ability to carpool with coworkers, take public transportation where available, ride a bike, walk if you're able to. So of course, this video is to take pressure off of you. If you feel so concerned about, I want to be an environmentalist, but I still drive a car. You can be an environmentalist and still drive a car. There are other ways to avoid supporting big oil. There are other ways to live low waste. And if you're looking for more free ways to live low waste, zero waste on a budget, I have 225 ways to do that in my Zero Waste on a Budget series that will be linked down below. So I hope that this was encouraging. You don't have to give up your car to believe that climate change is real and that we can do what we can and that our individual actions do have a big impact. But again, this all comes back to we need to be pointing the fingers at big oil and the car companies and coal and all these other polluters, because they're making us reliant on their wasteful practices. And because they're doing that, they're the ones killing the planet, not us. We don't have a choice but to live in this wasteful society. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you made it all the way to the end. And if you did, you've appreciated this video, I would really appreciate a thumbs up. And again, leave more comments down below on what other ways you are avoiding supporting big oil without having to give up your car. I would love to make this into a part 2. I think this is a really valuable series, and if you think that anyone else would find value in this video, I would appreciate it if you shared it with them as well. Once again, thank you for watching, and until next time, remember that your small actions have a big impact in the long run. Bye, guys. So the sooner you switch to a green energy provider, if possible, stop. I'm really sorry if this video is confusing. Okay, that's it. This video is to put pressure on, take pressure off.